no doubt. We could all agree that parents are the worst part of sports. I think we could agree with that. And so I'm a pastor of a church, and if all I had to do was preach, that'd be the greatest thing, right? So but there's things that come along when we take the responsibility of coaches. There's things that come along with that, and we're willing and accepting of that. However, some of my assistant coaches that have come online, I would love to be able to help them by when they're spending 4 hours, 5 hours after a game watching film or getting ready for the preseason stuff. They're making trips, traveling, taking off work to go to these team camps in the summer. I'd love to be able to pay some of these guys what I feel like, at least some of what we feel like they're worth. And we, in the proposal in front of you, what we've given you, and I hope each one of you have it. If not, I've got a printed document that I'm willing to pass out. Does everybody have that? If not, like I said, I can hand you the printed document.
I'll take the printed because my computer's not working and the password won't work.
I called Jonathan.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Who else?
Thank you so much. I did look at it. But
Yeah,
I
no
don't have it from
Thank you,
me.
sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. So what you can see here is that I've put an accumulation of hours here on this, and we'll start with the first step, and I'll try to be, again, my people at church, they claim I'm long-winded, so I'll try to be fast. So you can see that our participation numbers compared to the high school, once I was able to put these things to a document, we actually accommodate more athletes at the middle school in the 3-year programs than we do at the high school in the 4-year programs. Throughout each discipline, you can see we outnumber the high school. Again, I think some of that is just age-based, where we've got 5 schools feeding into the middle school versus 1 school feeding into the high school. I know that there's some things that goes into that, as well as the number of coaches. Our number of coaches are pretty comparable to what the high school has, and we're not asking for the off-season pay to be per coach. Again, we're wanting to mimic this exactly following the high school, the already approved high school budget. And you can see the average hours, and I was pretty conservative with the numbers when we put these numbers together. I know myself personally, I put in far more than 200 hours in the off season, but we tried to average it across the coaches and just say, hey, how when we reach out, give me a rough number. I can promise you that if you go to baseball and softball, I can promise you they're spending more than 100 hours, but we're just trying to be conservative and give you guys a good document, a good budget, what we're looking for. If you'll go to the bottom of the proposal that you see there, I've got an Excel spreadsheet that I put together. You can see the way I was able to get these numbers together is our salary pay is based off the high school. When I did the numbers and crunched the numbers, we are actually paid in our salary 60% of what the high school coaches are paid. At 60%, when we put those numbers to paper, I put this in the proposal in this Excel spreadsheet from the hours as well as the pay. I've dropped that down to our 60%. So what I did was try to propose to you something not outlandish. However, to throw something in there, I truly believe work. I know that there's different levels that are there. We agree with that, and I understand that and respect that. However, I can assure you that the work that's putting in across all disciplines, whether it be DJ, myself, or Coach Org or Coach Cook, I can assure you that the amount of work being put in is no less than what's being put into the high school.
So you're saying that your proposal is at 60% of what the high school is?
Correct. So what I'm budgeting for, I had a linear document where we started at 80% and worked our way down, and through work with Mr. Clay, we found something that we thought would be palatable to that. So when we went to it, what we're looking at is, if you want to look at the football, we'll start at the top. Football from 0 to 4 years, this is asking for getting paid for 300 total hours. That's not 300 hours per coach. That is 300 hours total for all coaches. So if I work 4 hours, as well as the rest of my other 3 assistant coaches are working, that would be 16 hours taken from this pool. And that also, whatever that 16 hours when we would get paid, that would take from our max budget of, if it was footballs, for example, it would take from that max budget of $9,000 and knock it down. So once the $9,000 is spent, it's spent. It's at that point, it becomes zero. And again, I think we're depending so much on people's good nature, and we have some of the best people in this county. I'm from Anderson County. I grew up there. I lived in Lake City and went to Anderson County High School, graduated don't hate me, I didn't go to Gibbs. So anyway, but yeah. So I grew up in Anderson County. I grew up there. And anyway, I love the feel of the county. I've been here for about 7 years and love the people here. I love the fact you can wave at everybody and they don't have to know you and everybody waves back. That's my favorite part about living here. So anyway, but what we're doing is depending so much on people's good nature. And there comes a point when we start taking advantage of that good nature where people have to walk away, because we're asking these men and women to take times from their families who have growing kids, a lot of times have kids on the team, and we're taking time away from those families. And my wife and I coach middle school basketball. She coaches elementary basketball as well as high school basketball, as well as helps with high school track. To say we're busy is an understatement. I also pastor church. I work at Oak Ridge National Lab. We're busy, right? So, but again, it's a good busy. We love what we do, and we're thankful to have the opportunities we have. However, there's going to come a point where people's good nature is going to get burnt. And that's when we lose retention of these great people. And I would love to be able to retain them. So again, I hope this makes sense. If you guys got questions, I'm more than glad. Yeah.
I want to say to the board that I instituted this for the high school.
Okay.
At the middle school, at that time, they didn't really do a lot of off-season stuff. And so we required them to submit to us, signed by the principal, timesheets.
Perfect.
So we could document the time, that it wasn't just, let me just turn in, I got all my hours.
Yeah.
So somebody has to verify that you got the time in.
That's right. And
That
I was
my
gonna get-
thought on. So high school football, for example, the pressure, all that, their base pay is more than the middle school.
6 years.
And I get that.
Yeah.
I think this should be the same as the high school. I don't think it should be 60%. I'll tell you why. The amount of work doesn't change.
That's right.
What does change is that responsibility at the high school level. There's more eyes on it, there's more expectation, there's more pressure.
There is.
But the amount of work in the off season for you all, it's tremendous, because
It
you're
is.
spending your summer doing this. There's a lot, if you do it right.
Yeah.
Tournaments, championships are not won, but on the off season.
That's right.
Off season is what makes your team.
That's good.
It is not the season.
Yeah.
So if I was going to suggest something, I would say it should be paid at 100%, because the amount of work is the same as the high school.
It is, and I agree with you. We're trying to put a palatable budget in front of you all, something that we're not trying to break the county. We know we're building a new a middle school. Don't get me wrong. I'll gladly take that. We love it. I'm for that. But again, what I want to be able to see is, again, I think it's great to be able to offer these assistant
And
coaches.
the idea was
opportunity.
to drop it out to the middle school too, at some point. But there was never really a time, there was a lot of off-season stuff happening at the middle school.
Right.
So the high school was doing it.
Yeah.
And that's why we put it in place.
Perfect.
And it never did work its way down to the middle school. There wasn't a lot of off-season stuff. Greg, you were the principal there. There just wasn't a lot. And so we did it for the high school because they were at that time doing it. And prior to that, they went to summer ball camps and football. There was a weightlifting and football. There was a lot of stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
That we felt the need, that they should be recognizing, because we were losing coaches.
Yeah. Thank you.
And the same reason is it's going to happen in the middle school.
It's currently happening.
Compensate people for the time.
Yeah, it's currently happening. So we're to answer your question and to your point on the timesheets. Since I've been, in my professional career, we're required to do that. After talking with Dr. Kilgore, our plan is to build a timesheet. I've got one kind of a sample. I didn't bring it with me, but it's going to be the responsibility of that head coach to present it either to the athletic director, which would be Coach DJ, or to Dr. Kilgore to submit that then to central office. Again, there's a process of certifications that says, yea, verily, they worked that. And because again, we're not here to take advantage of the system. Again, I think it's very important that the documentation is there to justify the pay, because we don't want just somebody coming in, oh yeah, well, I think we worked 5 hours. No, that's not the way this is going to work. I know for us, I know DJ's the same way. I'm pretty I'm pretty tight when it comes to that type of stuff. I like our documentation. I like everything in order. I'm trying to be as organized as I can. I think if you're going to have a winning culture and a winning team, you got to be that way. And so, again, I think we do very good on our documentation when it comes to our physicals. I don't see why it would be an issue. Again, I can present you all the timesheet when you guys go to vote if you want to see it. But we do have a sample that I used when I was working electrical construction, that I could even do the same type stuff.
Well, Greg is who all that stuff goes to. I'm assuming the high school sends their
Coach
timesheet.
Brown, he verifies everything to high school, and then it goes to Mr. Lay. Mr. Lay signs off on it, sends it to me, reported on to Missy.
So there's no reason for us to see the timesheet.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that we will mimic whatever the high school does, and that's the goal is to be the same, and we don't want to change a bunch of stuff. We just want the same. Any other questions?
I'll say this, I've coached ball, been around ball all my life, still got grandkids playing ball, and if you don't keep them busy in sports, they're gonna find things to be busy at, and you're not gonna like what you see.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I will say this, Coach Copeland's done a tremendous job at the middle school. What he's done over there, really appreciate that, because way back when I started at the middle school as a principal, we tried to get a sixth grade team going. I couldn't find any teams to play.
Yeah.
But we didn't have anybody that was going to put that kind of time in either. I even tried to sit on the bench and have coach, which I did that for 18 years before I got there. So
Yeah,
but I spent a lot of summers and a lot of gyms, and we were never compensated. We didn't make much on the supplement either. We just did it because we love basketball.
that's right.
And I know that's what DJ does for football and stuff too. So
That's right.
I understand where they're coming from.
Thank you.
Any more discussions on this?
So we're basically asking to add this to the budget and approve.
Okay, Greg said it wasn't voted or not.
But this is something, this is something we can consider when we have our, if you guys decide to do a workshop. It's something we're looking at. That one will change it up. It's not next year. It's finance committee right now. We would end up part of a budget discussion. It's, you go, I don't know of any other county that does this. Because that's what was unique. I think Anderson County is kind of built into their overall supplement. I think they're
Most
both,
places, it is in the supplement.
but their supplements, like Anderson County, I know their supplements are a lot more
It is.
sports than ours. But that's what's built into it, is in the overall supplement. Because they stage theirs by, I think there's 3 tiers of sports.
Yes.
They stage it that way. When I looked at theirs before, I was talking about the other one a couple of months ago.
And I'd spoke to that point. I've got, again, coming from Anderson County, I still got really good friends over there, and I'd spoke to them and got their budgets and their ideas. I'm not sure exactly about how that it's factored in. We didn't dive super deep into that, but I do know that theirs are higher as far as their supplements go. And so I did the comparison of their supplements and then just pulled hours from the high school and then just went with that versus their off-season stuff. So I didn't want to overload you all with information. I feel like I already have. So I didn't want to overload you with even more information.
The
So
other thing is, I think I sent you guys the high school where we have it in place. And the only difference between these is how many hours dedicated for sport.
Yeah.
High school typically has more coaches, especially football. So those hours are about, that's why they're higher. High school level. That's based on hours, it's not number of coaches.
Yeah. That's correct. Yeah. So ours, again, and ours isn't exactly 60%. As a matter of fact, I think ours is just a touch under 60%, the proposal I gave to you, because I was just trying to make it even hours. Like basketball is like 504 hours or 304 hours. And I just knocked it down, or however it was, and at 204 hours. And footballs was 360 something hours to get, the exact spot, the exact number. So we try to knock it down again to try to make it palatable. But again, if you're willing to make it to where it's even, obviously we won't turn that away. But that's I'm not going to reject more money, but especially for our assistant coaches. So however you all feel obligated to go, we'd appreciate that. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay,
So the hours that the high school spends, like 540 versus, I think it was 300, are the middle school people spending 540 hours? Or are they spending 300? Or are they actually?
He was being conservative on numbers.
So I have some real numbers. If you want some real numbers, we're way conservative. We're proposing about half of the hours, if not less. So it's yes, we're spending that much time, but again, we're at your discretion.
Like for instance, I've got myself and 4 other coaches, 2 of which aren't even paid, that from beginning of January all the way until the stipend starts the first or the second week of July, minus spring break and the dead period, we're there 3 days a week at a minimum of 3 hours a day. Those guys aren't paid. We have to do that. And for football's sake, it's, injury prevention. If we're not in the weight room, our kids become more susceptible, especially to those non-contact injuries. So we're in there and we're getting at it. Right now, we were there today. And like I said, I've got coaches that 2 of which aren't being paid that are putting in about 450 hours in the off season. So the time it's being put in. And that's across the board. So.
I think each team has coaches that have no supplement. Like they're there out of the goodness of their heart. And this would hopefully at least give them something.
But they're paid for their on season?
No.
Not paid for their off season.
No, they're there literally volunteers.
any more discussion?
I thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you're doing.
Yeah, we love it. We wouldn't do it if we did.
Next item is, discuss the budget.
Can we skip down and do 16 first? Because
Okay, 16 is, increased pay for homebound teachers.
the reason I brought this one here is we've not increased this in a number of years. Right now, it sits at like $15 an hour, so it's almost impossible to get any of the teachers to go do homebound. So what we were asking to do is move it to 30, like we pay basically our tutors. Anybody does any after hours work, that's what we're paying those folks, to move that to this. The budget, if you go look through the budget line, there's $10,000 sitting in a line for homebound teachers that's been sitting there every year. And we never spend all that. We just leave it because you never know. It's always depending on what kind of things happen in a year's time. But that's what we're asking to do with homebound teachers, just move them from 15 to 30. And then most of that puts them on the same playing field as like tutors. We pay tutors $30 an hour, do an extra tutor for kids.
Just move it over to the coaches.
Huh?
Just move it over to the coaches.
With the coach's line, I'll put it on Dustin's sheet.
Yeah,
Now you're a homebound teacher.
that'll work. Whatever. I've been called worse.
Mr. Clay, could you?
How many homebound teachers we have?
I'm sorry.
That's a good question.
What was the question?
Can you explain the homebound teacher part? That's,
It's kids that have some kind of medical issue, so they have to be at home for a while, maybe a limited time for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or 2, whatever it is. And the teacher goes out to the home to deliver the instruction. And it's so many hours, 3 hours a week?
Yeah, I was a homebound teacher. when I
Yeah,
was
it's
a
3
teacher.
hours a week.
To
So-
deliver, they go to their homes to teach,
Yes,
literally,
yes.
one-on-one.
Are they teaching in other areas too, or just as a homebound teacher? Like,
Oh, it's people who work in regular.
Daily.
okay.
Yeah, daily. Occasionally, we have one that'll come to the school in the afternoon to do it.
Mhm.
If there's an issue with the home or whatever, no internet service or something, they'll come to the school and actually do it in the afternoons. Yeah, they actually go, it's always something medically. And it's a temporary basis.
Do you have a question?
I just asked how many homebound teachers we had.
I don't have the number right now. We've not had a whole lot this year.
It really just depends on the
Yeah,
situation.
depends on the
It could be
situation.
It'll fluctuate.
Ever how many kids need it.
Because what I looked at is, on the budget that Missy sent you all, for the 25 spend in that line, we'd spent $3,600 out of the 10,000 that's budgeted every year. We just leave that number on.
That's a shame we got it budgeted, but we're not paying it to our people.
It's there, so that's why the office asked me to bring it back, because I wasn't aware that it was that low. But it's not been changed in a number of years.
And so about how many kids about are we serving in that way?
Currently, I don't know how many we are right now.
Ms. Locke, I can speak to the middle school. This year, we've had 3. So, but in that, when you, like, we get the email that this kid's had a medical issue, they're on homebound, try to get a teacher that will fill in that role, and then you're going out and saying, oh, I can give you $15. We're not getting anybody that's going to start, I mean, it's just, it doesn't happen.
And does the law require us to do homebound service?
Yes,
And so just let me clarify again. So these teachers that are doing this, do they work in the system already?
yes. This would be extra pay for that teacher to go out
Okay.
on their time.
Extra pay? Okay.
It's typically one of their teachers.
Right. We always try to get one of their current teachers to go out and do it.
Okay. So they're making less when they go homebound than they do when they're
Yes.
here? With the max line, what's the max line that you're asking for, or you're asking to double it?
We already have it budgeted.
Okay, yeah, 10.
There's $10,000 in that line. I've not touched it since I've been here. So I'm assuming it was put in years ago. And it doesn't go over that.
The budget will stay the same, but the amount,
that
our
we're
hourly
paying.
will double.
Yeah.
Yes.
And actually, Greg, it's on more than one line. We have it on
Okay.
different budgets. We have 10,000
special
in
ed.
special ed, we have
I was just
10,000
looking in
in
the
general
7-Eleven.
ed, and so forth.
Which is,
So,
So how many line items are there for?
two that I can think of right offhand, I can look through the budget real quick.
Is that 10,000 each, Missy?
I'm sorry,
10,000 each line?
yes, that is correct.
Okay.
So I see it that it's on,
let's see, it's supposed to.
actually, I don't see it on special
Only
ed. Have
place
you
I
all
see it
taken
is-
it off, Lenny and Sean? Sean, I don't see it on special ed. Have you all moved it off of the 712 page?
No, it's.
Oh, you had to move it to 189. That's right.
I think
Okay.
there's $7,000.
So yes, it's actually 7,000.
That's enough.
And that's the only lines that I'm seeing it on right now is special ed and general ed.
And those will have to be paid out per special ed or
Regular, yeah,
Right,
right.
according to what kind of teacher they are, yes.
any more discussion on that? Okay, let's go back up to number 15, Missy.
You guys have notebooks? Not a lot has changed since we talked about this at the board retreat. When we first looked at this, the extra money, if TNVA is in existence, is
It is correct. We do not have the principal's salary in there though, but yes, we have met the state mandated amount for both the 0 year for the bachelor's and all the other remaining rates, and we've met the total amount of salary that we need to increase for the year, even without TNVA. So
so if
If we-
TNVA is not in existence next year, we could reduce the salary.
Yes.
$300,000.
by about half, well, we, right now we have to increase it 614,000. If we didn't have TNVA, they've told me that it would be approximately, and this is very much approximately around 300,000. So we could lower the scale down by 300,000 if we don't have TNVA.
If you look in the green box, that's kind of like the, you have this? Look at the, is it on the very front page?
This is that 300,000,
That's
that's
it.
the teacher's
That's
scale.
how much we have to increase all teacher pay by.
I
Sorry.
thought the state mandated a number, just mandated a number, not like, I didn't realize it was a sliding scale.
It's tied to your ATMs is what I understand. I sent an email to Shelby Oldby, who was over the Department of Education for our area, and that is what she sent me back. She
The
said.
summary sheet should be on right before it.
It's on back in
On your
there.
second tab.
There it is. Get it in your hand. Back.
That one. So you're.
It's faded out.
Green box, that one is the blue box. So do right and left, their colors aren't as good.
Oh, I'm
as,
sorry. I was right off, fresh off my printer. It's nice. But the box on the bottom right is the one that shows you what the excess would be, take the deficit, then it has how much money you'd still be able to transfer for next year, or to capital this summer.
And that is transferring the minimum amount. I mean, you are more than welcome to transfer more than that, because our maximum is 8 million, but I do not suggest that with how much we've had to raise salaries in the past few years. We really need to build 141 back up from all of these increases, at least for a couple of years, is my opinion. So that's why I have recommended the minimum transfer for this year, which is the 6 million minus the deficit. And that is just my recommendation. It is totally up to the board to decide what amount they wish to transfer between the two amounts there.
And after you digest that, when you flip over to the, break it out by the lines. And like, it's like we talked about before, it is, all the increase is salaries. I mean, as we looked at operations at the retreat, we didn't really increase hardly anything in operations other than utilities and some insurance funds that we had to. And we tried to cut some other areas in operations already. Tried to keep it as tight as possible, is what we got on that. So all the increase is because of the salary increase.
Okay, so when you show the 25-26 amended budget, this is gonna sound stupid, but that's the amended budget for this year.
That is correct, yes. If you're looking at the summary sheet, the first column is 24-25 actuals. That is what we've actually spent. Those are audited balances that are actual. So that gives you the 25 comparison. The next three boxes are the original budget, the amended budget, and then how much we've actually spent this year on our current FY26 budget.
Right.
So what I'm trying to give you here is some numbers to compare to see kind of how we stand with the new budget. Then the fourth column is the department request. That is what we are requesting for the upcoming year FY27 budget. And then the next line you will see is the difference between the original budget in FY26 and what we're requesting this year.
So that's what I wanted to say to the board is I don't need to be doing a lesson on this, but I always look at the amended budget for the current year and the budget recommendation, those two, and then the plus and minuses. Those first, the 24-25 actual, that's just how the thing does it.
Yeah, that's your audited amount. So
Yeah.
we just put those on there because that is what your fund balance transfer policy is based on.
Right, so the reality of it is, looking at the 25-26 amended budget, the department request, and then the plus and minuses, because the actual just tells you what you spend up to this
Right,
point
but
this
but it's
year.
actually looking at the original budget,
Yeah.
not the amended, because the amended budget includes grants. So
Right.
you don't want to look at that for your total numbers. So my increase and decrease is actually based off of original 26 and the 27 requests,
Okay, but the original budget, not the amended,
not the amended.
because it contains,
It
The
contains
grants.
grants, and it also contains things that have happened this year that may not happen. So when we do our analysis of our history, we go by the original budget, not by the amended, because the amended can just have too many things that come into play.
but like on the 71-100 line,
Yes, are you looking at,
teacher.
okay,
So if you're looking at the regular instructional program, that's where teachers are paid from.
that is correct. So you will see
So
that.
that original, I mean, the amended budget, that's not gonna have any grant money in it.
No, it's not. And you'll see that those are both fairly small. I mean, there's a difference of maybe $20,000
Right.
there.
So if that's where the bulk of your budget is, those 71-100 lines are all salary lines.
Correct.
So that's where,
Well, the 7100 now, that function, that does include the operationals for the 7-Eleven.
oh, that is true.
Yes. so
You got
those are not
textbooks,
to be just-
instructions.
It's salary and operation.
Yeah, if you want to just break it down by salary, you'd need to go to the line items in the budget itself and look at just the ones that have an object code of 100.
Yeah.
So 100s are your salary lines, 200s are your benefits for salary lines, and then 300 on are all your operational numbers.
So yeah, that's a good one. Question, yeah, I'm on 2, 3, 2, 2,
You're on the,
yep, 2,
you're on the revenue.
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
So you've got the 25-26 original budget, 53.9, and then
Which number? Which function
At
number?
the- bottom of the green.
26 original budget, right?
Okay,
And so the department request for 26-27 is 29.7, which is a decrease of 25.3.
that is your
VA,
TBA.
we're not,
We're
gotcha.
not getting, we are not including their TISA money at this time. I'm not saying we won't get it, but if we get it, we will have to do a budget amendment. Now, if we know what's gonna happen prior to our May meeting, I can put all that back in and give you exact numbers. But if we haven't heard from the state at that point, I wouldn't feel comfortable putting it back in. But that's where the differences are. We have taken out all 10BA expenses and we took out all revenue. So it's like we are not considering them at all. These numbers are just based on brick and mortar.
Thank you.
And Greg, if I explain anything wrong, you holler at me.
You do a little better than I do.
I just was thinking that number's so much lower.
Yeah, I know. When I first looked at it, you have this little slight heart attack there at the beginning, but then you realize what's going on.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've done that several times this week.
Can I ask a formatting question?
Of course.
Just a formatting. When we cross pages, is there any way to put the titles up there on it?
Sure, I'll be happy to, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Which page you look, oh, geez, I see what yours is like that, yes, I sure can. And Actually, the second ones we printed, I did do that, but I think that's the first batch
Oh,
that I sent to Ronnie. So we'll upload you the one that looks like.
It's just
this.
easier to read.
I know, definitely, and that's what I thought too, when I started going through it, and that's why I redid it. So I
Okay.
apologize if that's the one that you all got.
Okay.
But I will, I'll send you all this copy tonight when I get back to the house and I can log it on my computer, and I'll send you all the ones that have the headers of this. Because as you're going, you realize what you need to change, so,
Thank you.
no problem. And Jessica, since you brought up the one where we're 25 short on revenue, you can look over here on the expenditure lines and you'll see that it's minus 27, which is the expenditure part of it. So those two basically offset. But you can see that the expenditures are a little bit less than what the revenues went down. So that's a good thing.
Okay, so, yeah, when we have a deficit, though, right, like. for
Well,
this
right
coming
now,
year,
when you, there's no deficit per se,
transferring,
because we keep a healthy fund balance. We do not spend all of our budget, which is a really good thing. So that gives you a basis to start your next year. So this right here is telling you, we've got either 6 million or 8 million to move the fund balance. That's our excess funds in here that we can't leave in here because that's what our fund balance policy states. We have to move that to capital projects. But there's always an amount left over from the total budget, which is this 2,000,016 on that very front page.
yeah.
That is the amount that I'm suggesting we deduct from what we would normally transfer to cover this, because as you can see, the estimated revenue is 29 million and our estimated expenditures are 31. So that's where the difference comes in. But we have an excess to move that we can use to balance that. Now, in a perfect world, yes, I would rather see the revenue more than the expenditures.
Right.
But in this climate, with how much everything's gone up and the fact that the governor has set such a high standard to raise our salaries to, it is just really dug into our, into our fund balance. So,
And this, you're saying, is without the virtual suite.
Yes.
You only do dip into that
because
virtual suite.
if the virtual school comes back, we're golden.
I just feel like we shouldn't use the virtual school to offset our budget like this, because to me, not everybody has a virtual school. So in my opinion, this board, we should be using that money for, I mean, because hopefully we can function on what the state gives us, hopefully. And is the deficit mainly from the salary
Yes,
increases?
it's all
It's all
from
salary.
And which we were forced to do, so it's not like we're spending more.
Because over the
It's
last,
deficit.
the operations. I will have to say, Director Clay lowered operations. So we went down there, so the increase
Is
is
the
only
mandate.
salaries.
Okay,
Yeah.
but over the last 4 years, since, well, this is my fourth budget, we've put almost $4 million into the salary scale.
Yes.
So that you take that, of course, you always want to try to do raises as much as you
right,
can,
absolutely.
but that alone is what's driven this up.
Yeah.
So,
And let me add also, I understand exactly what you're saying with putting the Tennessee Virtual Academy's revenue into capital. I agree that it's good to use it for that, but take into consideration too, that part of these mandates that we're having to meet are because of TNVA. So we have to take some of their money that we get from them to cover their portion of the teachers, because you're looking at like $300,000 right there. That is for their teachers, and we've had to budget for it in our budget. So I feel like at least part of it needs to go to cover the things that it raises, because we will have to add back the principal, and she makes quite a large amount of money. So we at least need to cover those expenses with our
Absolutely.
income.
so what you're getting back at is now, because you got the excess.
The fund balance.
So if you put that, if TNBA comes back, which I talked to them today, I think the contract is pretty close. After our conversation today, a one-year deal is what we're looking at because of the uncertainty. Of course, the bill's passed, so they know the clock's ticking now. So I should find out by the end of the week, and I gave them a April 30 deadline to have the contract to me, ready to bring to you. So we may have to have a special call if I get it in time, whatever, we can look at it. But I would rather do it sooner than later than wait till Mayview if we need to. So we can bring it back to you guys. So if we get that back, depending on where the percentage lands, that's our big negotiating piece right now. Because most of the terms they've agreed to. I'm waiting to see the draft after we talk today, but this depends on where that lands. So we could get anywhere from 1.9 million to about 2.4, and that range is what I'm thinking on. So that would more than cover this. But and like Dr. Carter was able to do for all those years is that's how he's basically with excess plus that stockpile put down the $15 million for the school in prior budgets. And it's helped us do a lot of things in this county for
Absolutely.
a lot of years.
Did you maybe ask them about coming to our board and like giving us accountability, kind of like
Hey,
Or they're planning for the
showing us
next
what
school
they're
year?
doing?
They're supposed to be here in May. at the baby.
They will be here in May.
And some of the things we were talking about was the enrollment pieces. We're actually trying to push the enrollment down
Yes.
to get a better handle on the school. And that's the things we put in place. But we put that in the contract. So basically, no new enrollment next year until we get this moving in the right direction.
So we said no new enrollment, or did we say we had to cap it? 2,000, and
Well,
we've got,
Kindergarten, for instance, since those kids move up, we're gonna cap it like 100 kids. We're gonna push it down. Your average about 200 grades.
so they're gonna have to offload some kids, is in a nutshell.
Well, not kindergarten.
No, just,
But then coming up, they can't add any new ones to first grade. They can't exceed what they've already got.
okay. Okay. So my question is, if what we're looking at does not include the TNVA money, does our budget, as we currently are looking at it, include TNVA costs?
It includes that $600,000 mandate that the state made us get to with their numbers included. So that state mandate, if they don't come back, will go down, and we could theoretically lower the scale back down and make it more comparable to only hitting the 300,000, which is much more, better on
Yeah,
our bottom line.
okay.
So that would be the big thing, so. No.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's based on what your student population is. So we're running close to 5,000 kids counting TNVA. So that's what drives how much money the state says you've got to put in salaries. And it's around 650, 640, something like that. So we built it, when I brought it to you at the budget, at the board retreat, we only had put in, so I think the 300,000 originally. On this one, we went back and added the rest of that money in.
We just decided
So we can
worst case
See what, we want to see what the scale looks like, worst case is.
That's great.
And keep in mind that this is a preliminary statement, or budget, I'm sorry. So, if you all do decide to make changes, or I will go back through it with the fine tooth comb, because sometimes I'll find typos and stuff, but I will bring back in May your all's final budget for 141 to vote on, and also I will have all the other funds with me at that time for you all to vote on. 142, 143, 145, if we get TNVA back, and then 177, the capital funds projects. I'll have all of those brought back for the May meeting, and you can vote on all of them. It's just 141 is our huge budget, so that's the one we want you all to have time to look at. But I feel very good about this budget. I feel like we did the best we possibly could with what we
Because I
got.
was pleasantly surprised that we had $6 million in excess built in the budget. That kind of shocked me. I guess that was good.
You're not working hard.
But yeah, but we never know what that number's gonna be until I get those audited actuals. And that's the good thing about our county being the first audit for Tennessee. We are the very first audit in county, and we have been for like the past 5 years. So we get our numbers back way before everybody else does, because literally there were some counties who were finishing up their audit and just now getting numbers back in January when they start auditing again. So we at least have our numbers a lot earlier, so we can give you guys a better idea. We don't have to estimate as much.
And you won't say it, but somebody should. Why are we the very first to be audited in the state of Tennessee?
I'll let you answer that.
Because we set the bar. We are one of the top in the state in audits. The auditors are so high on us to lead as an example. That's our audited first.
We train their new auditors, so I'm very proud of that. My department does an excellent job. Since Jenny brought it up, I'll just pick that.
Please do.
Yes, my department, I couldn't be more proud of them. They work, every one of them works extra hard. Their whole goal is to do it right, don't get a finding. So an audit rewards us with that. They're really always very complimentary of that.
That's amazing. How long has it been that way?
Gosh, well, it was back when Ann was still with us, so, at least 7 years, but I have to say Ann laid out an excellent foundation, and I'm hoping to keep it going, so, good thank you for that, I appreciate it.
Is there any more discussion?
Are we gonna have another, I know that it's on the agenda, are we having a workshop before?
We'll
we
discuss
vote on-
that next.
Okay. I will say this, I would like to see the merit bonus in this upcoming year, because I feel like if we don't put it in here, and I know it's up to the board, so if you all disagree with me, but I'm asking that if it's not in here, it's like we didn't vote on it. and it's
I thought that's what it
not-
was supposed to be.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Bonus pay is what it used to be called.
We had
There
voted
is a
on the.
bonus pay line in.
That's
And I
not-
saw
that's
that.
not the one they're
I-
talking
I-
about.
I did see
That's
that,
the one
and I
that
was
you guys
asking about it earlier.
passed.
The
Which was
months
for
ago.
75.
Okay, so,
No, it's
That was
50.
for-
It's at 50. One thing that we did put in here is, we did go ahead and do, CDC teachers. We
Great.
put that bonus in for the CDC folks. So they get a bonus in December and in spring. That's what, that is built into this one right there.
Can I ask, is it appropriate to tell us how much, or is it?
It's roughly gonna be around $1,000.
Okay.
So they get maybe $2,000 a year extra.
And
And
you
that
think
is the
that will help us
hardest,
keep them?
hardest place to staff,
Yes.
teacher and TA. Because sometimes they literally take a meeting in the classroom.
Okay, so let me ask you, we had 75 in this year's budget,
That's, yes,
and we reduced it to 50.
they would have to put it back 50 more.
I thought it was supposed to be 75, and
Well, the merit pay one, the proposal that we passed was 50,000.
yeah,
seven.
page 4.
yeah, the 75,000 is for the bonuses that we're already paying, isn't that for like what their test scores? What's that? I can't even think what it's
I
called.
thought the bonus line was like,
It pays for tutoring, it pays for like the teachers who teach their fourth period here at the high
The
school.
incentive pay is what I think we call it on payroll
Yeah.
for their test scores is what that line covers. But I do not have this in the budget, but I can add it.
okay, so in the bonus line was where math teachers taught 4 classes.
Yes,
Where we used to have,
we don't have as much as that
Those
now, so that's why I kept some of
instructional
that back.
Yeah.
because they didn't use it all.
Right.
Wow.
They didn't need it as much this year, so that's why on the lines I was going to cut back.
Okay,
But if you do the merit, that's where we go, it goes back there, but get you back to that.
okay,
in the bonus,
in the bonus.
okay.
you have to there,
So I'll add.
You need probably 50 more
okay,
to cover what we already did.
okay. Because you hired math teachers, so you
Yeah.
should have went down on,
I think I'm only gonna have maybe one.
And that's basically why we did lower that line, because we did replace some of those teachers that were coming out of this, so we tried to cut expenses. But I can definitely add 50,000 to that, have that in your May report. And you all are calling that merit pay?
For the textbook line, see it's request at 200,000. And I know we spent a lot because we adopted, was it science, right? Science. So what do we have to adopt this year? Do we have to adopt any?
Well, we have reoccurring costs because we
Right.
buy math books every year, and I
Yeah.
think
But we don't have a
maybe
date
ELA.
adoption.
We have big-
ELA, we had to get, I think we actually got. a
Because we
PO
couldn't,
today.
well, at the time, we couldn't afford to buy it all at once, so we just been buying it year to year when we did the adoption, because they're so expensive.
Any more discussion? Okay, the next item is to
Yes,
schedule.
thank you.
And can I just tell you guys, if you all do read over this and have any more questions, and feel free, I'm an email or a phone call away. I'll be happy to give you all my cell phone number because I have been working from home on some days to work on this. So, but yeah, if y'all have any questions, just shoot me an email. I'll be happy to call you back.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Missy.
Before you walk off, next item is to set the budget workshop. Greg and I were looking at the 28th. How does that look to you, Missy?
I could, I have budget meetings scheduled for that day in the office, but they are with, the 142 employees. So I can probably work with them just by phone, and getting their reports. So are we talking about it at night or are we talking about it day?
Will that push you? We can move it if need be.
No, the commission's the 27th, but I don't actually have to present anything to commission on the 27th. So I don't present to them until May. So I could probably make that work. May 28th. May 28th.
Is that good with everybody?
April 28th.
April 28th.
Oh, I was like,
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Six o'clock.
Yes. Is that good with everybody?
It's not the best for me, but I don't want to be an inconvenience to the whole board. If it works for everybody else, I can make it happen.
Well, if you have any questions, if you want to ask me, call me.
I will. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
If we need to move it, Rebecca, we can.
I don't know how, I can do that Wednesday night, but I don't know who has church and wouldn't want to do that, but I will be available on the 29th or the 28th or the 30th.
Just keep it there, Terry. I'll try to. Maybe I'll be a
30th,
little
there's
late.
thinking there's a band concert or something.
It is.
Okay. Well, that would be the only 2 days that I have available because everything else I've got looks good.
Okay, is 28th good with everybody? Okay. Anything else? All right, we'll take a very short recess. we'll get started. Everybody stand. Harold, would you lead us in the pledge, sir?
I pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing. Rebecca, will you lead us in prayer?
Dear Lord, we thank you so much for this evening, Lord. We thank you for the rain, Lord. We thank you for the opportunity to come here, Lord, and discuss the business of Union County Schools. And we pray that as we do that, Lord, you give us wisdom, discernment, Lord, and that you would lead us, Lord, and that we would just, that we would have schools that are just amazing for our kids. And I thank you so much for every person that works in these schools. I thank you for all the coaches, Lord, that we got to hear from tonight. I thank you for all the teachers, staff, for Mr. Clay and all of the office people, Lord. And I just ask your blessing upon them. I ask your blessing upon our students, Lord, and their families, and upon our business tonight. We love you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Call the meeting to order.
I make a motion to amend the agenda by removing item 7A.
Got a motion, do I got a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next item is public comments. Did we have any, Ronnie?
We have none.
Okay. The next item is to approve the agenda. I need a motion. Motion approved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approve or disapprove the consent agenda, school trip.
Make a motion.
Have I got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the next item is to approve or disapprove the budget amendments and transfer.
I'll make a motion.
Have I got a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Wash,
For?
Ms. Lot,
4.
Mr. Cook,
For.
Mr. Collins,
For.
Mr. Carter,
4.
and Ms. Bug.
4.
Motion carried. We don't have any surplus. Okay, approve or disapprove contract.
Make a motion that we approve the Knoxville Center for the Deaf interpreter contract.
Have we got a second?
A second.
Roll call.
Mr. Washam,
For?
Ms. Lot,
4.
Mr. Cook,
For.
Mr. Collins,
For.
Dr. Carter,
4.
and Ms. Bug.
4.
Okay, the next item is approve or disapprove increase for homebound teachers.
Make a motion to approve.
Have we got a second?
Second.
Discussion. Are we approving it for the $30 that he requested?
Yes, I thought that's what we were doing.
Well, it doesn't say that.
Okay, we're approving it for the $30
Okay.
he recommends.
So that's your motion, Ms. Bug.
Yes.
Do I got a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Washam,
For?
Ms. Lot,
4.
Mr. Cook,
For.
Mr. Collins,
For.
Dr. Carter,
4.
and Ms. Bug.
4.
Okay, let's see, the next item is to approve and disapprove the budget.
I make a motion to table the budget until the May meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the next regular meeting will be the 7th. And we have a workshop on the 28th. That will be here at 6 o'clock. Okay, do I got a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.